This call up, I mean, your kids will hate you if they find out about this and you didn't listen. I mean, they'll hate you and think you're a hero if you tell them you gave up that expensive car and bought a whole coin instead, because that whole coin will be worth $10 million. You know, now that there is a way out through the way, I don't think everyone has forgotten about the boat. In other words, I think we are still very much in the early stages and that it will 10x and 10x again. If you want to make an investment, you don't want to miss anything. If you understand this will go up 100 times and maybe even 1,000 times, talk about 15 to 20 years from now. You know, one is going to be a pretty big amount to have. What I mean is that a whole quarter is going to be worth a lot in a few years. So I don't think you missed the boat. It might appear out of the blue. I mean, that we all know how this part works. The most interesting thing about this product is how it can really flow and move quickly. That's why I say it's like the hedge funds, which are short these things they're about to have a deeply spiritual enjoy. Sounds like they don't get it. They don't see that this could get worse. 50%, 100%, and 150% in months. You will see that the one short gets covered so damn quickly. You already know that I find it hard to believe that we won't be at 100,000 by the end of the 24th of January. I think this cycle will take us to 200,000 or 300,000. I'm very angry about how I saw my United States cross go bad. I think America was a great place to live after World War II. I mean that it clearly was. You understand why I'm sad when I compare the America of my children to the America of today. It's just that it's sad. You know what is going on. And to be honest, I think that fiat money is the reason for that. We have an in-depth talk with a super fund manager today who predicted the dot-com bubble before it happened. Additionally, someone who made a lot of money during the financial crisis of 2007 and 2008, someone who knows how the stock markets work and is better at investing than almost all other investors. This is Larry Lepard, and he thinks that cryptocurrency will do very well in the future. While he talks a lot about Bitcoin, he also makes some very good points that apply to XRP as well. This is why I think XRP will totally take over the financial system much faster than Bitcoin ever could. That being said, make sure you hit the like button so that everyone in the XRP army sees this video. Now let's get started. Before I talk about anything else, I want to show you a video that talks about debt and the possible failure of the whole financial system. This really shows why cryptocurrency is so much more important than most of you probably know. Also, why XRP is expected to really explode with the technology we have now. If you men are listening, pay close attention, because this is so revolutionary, I don't know where it all ends. Where does this debt go from here? Will it explode in a big way? Will it happen in 10 years, 20 years, or longer? I don't know. How do you think this will end? Do you see a big blow up? Yeah, so you asked the $64,000 question that no one knows the answer to, and it's really hard to figure it out. I mean, parents, to begin with, nobody knows. Okay, it's all just a memory of what could happen. Let's look at some things that we do know countries that have acted like the US has. And I mean that we know this from Reinhardt and Rob's paper. These countries have usually ended up in debt crises, which both mean that the debt is worthless or that there is too much inflation, also called hyperinflation. If the debt is worthless, it means that the money collapses and the debt cannot be paid back. So it turns into a new country in a way that lowers prices. The government plans to turn all the debt into new gay trees because they want to make all the claims cash friendly. They're going to do this by walking the printing press and other things. That's why Venezuela and other times between those two extremes should maybe just have a completely high length of inflation during which GDP might grow at it for some reason. By some means, you can slow the growth in the debt, you know? You'd get back to a better mix. There has been no debt to GDP for the US. There may be about 125% of debt to GDP coming from the World War, which turned it into about 130% because we spent a lot of money to win the war. In that case, they really did put in place monetary repression and had power over the yield curve on the bond market, which meant that the bond market lost money. Because of pretty high inflation in the early 1950s and 1960s, bonds weren't able to cover it. But it was also a very different time in America because everyone was coming back from the war and buying cars and houses. And, you know, the Ben AV boomers were getting ready. The hero age of the global war was young, and they were pretty much making a lot of babies, which changed the population. Going to make a lot of growth, so we kind of earned our way out of it. You know, we don't have that these days. You know, we failed to just win a war, and, you know, the total wars of our time are positively not adding to society. They're taken from society by collecting their Social Security and Medicare benefits, which is one reason why the government is in session. As you know, government finances are a mess, so it's really hard to say, but I guess. Let's assume a few things. First, I know that they need to print more money because the system will fall apart without it. Second, I have faith that they will print more money because they don't want the system to fall apart and because inflation is so bad. People think it's better than letting the system fall apart. In 2008, Henry Paulson went to Nancy Pelosi and told her, "You have to give us top or the ATMs won't work." It seems like this is a sport that Federal Reserve crooks and bank and criminals always use. For example, after setting up the Fed in 1913, they basically would do this. Designed a game called Heads We Win, Tails You Lose so that they could play with people as money and take a lot of risks. In 2008, these guys made a lot of money, and when they were wrong, they got their money back. In other words, if it had turned into capitalism, they should all have failed. It's true that I used to yell at Lloyd Blackfriar when he was arguing on Twitter about all sorts of things, and I would tell him to shut the fuck up because he was broke. The police helped you out, and he stopped tweeting. I'm sure there are a lot of rumors going around that they're trying to start a fight. They were able to print some money with COVID, which was a nice relief. We know that the next big print is going to come soon. And eventually everyone will wake up and realize that they're not going to stop printing. This is going to be a moment in the style of Gresham's Law. At that point, people will give up on Forex devices of the dollar and go crazy with things that can't be revealed first. I have to praise Larry Lepper for explaining this phenomenon in such great detail. This person has a lot of respect for me because he has stood up to greedy Wall Street bankers his whole career. These are the kinds of bad people who are to blame for keeping the problems we have with our current fiat system going. And a similar road to mine, when Larry Lepper saw cryptocurrency, he jumped at the chance to invest in it. He did this because he saw it as a solution to all of these problems. If you have self-control, banks will never be able to abuse you again. I also think my friends are lovely, which is exactly what we all want at the end of the day. That being said, yes, Larry Lepper is more focused on Bitcoin, and I fully understand why. Bitcoin is the first cryptocurrency that anyone can use, and it's also the one that started it all. He also doesn't have a lot of time to learn more about crypto because he is busy with all the big business companies that he walks with his partners and doing other things with gold, Bitcoin, and silver. So during mine, I think he does miss XRP, even though he doesn't really understand why XRP is better than Bitcoin. I mean, you look at it from every single basic point of view, the transaction times, the time it takes to complete the community load, the fact that it is more carbon neutral, and the fact that it doesn't need a group of miners to work to verify transactions.